Hello, I am Janela M. Villarente and I am going to continue the report of our group, which is the endocrine system. So, what are hormones? So, hormones are your body's chemical messengers. They travel in your bloodstream to tissues or organs. They work slowly over time and affect many different processes, including growth and development, metabolism, how your body gets energy from the food that you eat, sexual functions, reproduction, and lastly, the mood. So, hormone has its receptor. So, given hormone, it fits receptor like key that fits to its lock, and the insulin is serves as the key, which can be fit only insulin receptor, which is the lock, and does not stimulate other receptor types. So it has its own focus. Cell only respond if has proper receptors. So that's it. So peptide hormones and most monoamines, so they are hydrophilic, which is they are water loving. They are unable to pass into target cells. So they bind to receptor at cell surface. So hormone first messenger, receptor associated with membrane enzyme, so they respond by producing second messenger inside cell, often cyclic adenosine monophosphate. So cyclic AMP, so they are made by removing two phosphates from ATP, activates or reactivates cytoplasmic enzymes. They leads to various metabolic effects, which is can wake up certain genes, producing new enzymes, change permeability of plasma membrane, glucagon activating certain metabolic pathways. So that is what is cyclic AMP. So we have also the steroid hormones. Steroid hormones has types, which is the estrogen, testosterone, and the others. So they are hydrophobic, which means they are water-faring, readily pass into cell, bind receptor associated with DNA, causes gene to be transcribed, specific protein produced, so they produce a specific protein that alters metabolism in various ways. So what are the components of hormones? So it has a receptor site, which is the location on a cell where hormone binds, so serve as the lock. The target tissues, a group of cells that respond to specific hormones. The specificity, specific hormones bind to specific receptor sites. So I have here an illustration. So the figure 110.1, target cell response to hormones. So hormones are secreted into the blood and distributed throughout the body, where they diffuse from the blood into the interstitial fluid, so the yellow arrow. Only target cells have receptor to which hormones can bind. So they have also hormones has its own focus on which hormones can be only used. Therefore, even through a hormone is distributed throughout the body, only target cells for that hormone can respond to it. So, it has only a focus on what cell is its target. So, how does this work? Number 1, hormones are secreted by endocrine glands directly into bloodstream. Hormones travel to all parts of the body, so we all know that. Hormones serve as the key bind to receptor site, the lock on target tissue. So lastly, after all the process, the response occurs. So how do hormones cause change? So alter cell activity of target tissues by increasing or decreasing cell's normal processes. Change permeability of cell membrane by opening or closing ion channels. Synthesis of proteins. So, the types of hormones. Water soluble. So, it includes the protein, peptides, amino acids. They are most common. Example is the growth hormone, antidiuretic, prolactin, and etc. So, the lipid hormones includes the steroid and eicosanoids. Example is the LH, FSH, and androgens. So, regulation of hormones, blood levels of chemicals. Example is the blood glucose levels or the insulin. So, insulin production is produced by the endocrine glands. So, other hormones, example is the TSH, signal thyroid gland to release thyroid hormones. So, the nervous system, the epinephrine and fight or flight response. And lastly, the negative feedback, which tells the body when homeostasis is reached. So, we all know. We are familiar into that. Pituitary gland. So, pituitary gland is composed by the hypothalamus, infundibulum, pituitary gland, and the mammillary gland body. So, the pituitary gland is a small gland in the brain. So, pituitary gland is composed by the hypothalamus, divided into two regions, which is the anterior and the posterior. And lastly, it secretes at least 6 hormones. So, what are the 6 hormones secreted by the pituitary gland? So, the anterior pituitary gland produces 6 major hormones. So, number 1 is the prolactin. Number 2, the growth hormone, which is responsible for the development of the body. The adrenocorticotropic hormone, luteinizing hormone, follicle stimulating hormone, and the thyroid stimulating hormone. So, anterior pituitary gland. So, yes, it is a growth hormone. It target tissues, mostly everything. Functions, stimulate growth of bones, muscles, and organs. So, they are really responsible for the growth reproduction in the body. So, anterior pituitary gland has its abnormalities also. So, too much growth hormone causes giantism. So, these are the people who are really enormous in height. Too little GH causes pituitary dwarfism. So, if you are lack of growth hormone, you can have a syndrome called dwarfism. So, TSH, which is the thyroid stimulating hormone, target tissues thyroid gland, functions, regulates thyroid gland secretions. Abnormalities, too much TSH, thyroid glands enlarges. Too little TSH, thyroid glands shrinks. So that is all for my report about the endocrine system and how thus hormones is greatly important through the development of our body all throughout the process. That's all. Thank you.